Welcome to the candidates Q&A. I am Christy Wheeler, Chair of the Nominating and Leadership Development Committee. I have the privilege of introducing the members of the NLDC who have worked for you this past year. They are Connie Garrett, Cheryl Langford, Brandy Miller, Chair-elect, Christy Simmons, Renee Battier, our advisor, Linda Grove, our ex officio, Rhonda Minthorn, our staff liaison. The individuals presented as candidates are to be congratulated for consenting and accepting nominations to their elected offices for AORN. The candidates will answer questions presented by the members of the NLDC. Questions will be asked of each individual in alphabetical order by candidate's last name. Each candidate for office will be asked the same question related to the office they are seeking. Candidates not at the table will be sequestered during this time. The NLDC would like to thank the individual members, chapters, specialty assemblies, and national committees and state councils for taking the time to prepare and submit questions. Your input will assist in a member's deliberation and determination of each candidate's understanding of the issues facing AORN and perioperative nursing. As a voting member, it is your responsibility to objectively review and evaluate the background materials provided for selecting the best candidate to further the mission of AORN. A copy of this material can be found in the Expo program. Additionally, the candidates' speeches were professionally recorded in Chicago on February 7th-H, 2017. These videos are on Meet the Candidates page of the AORN website. We are offering 0.5 contact hour, so please take the time to watch the candidates' videos. To assure equal time for the candidates, present timeframes will be strictly enforced. Each candidate's timeframe to answer the question will be announced by the NLDC member hosting that specific candidate group. To assist the candidates in monitoring their timeframes, Rhonda Minthorn, our AORN staff liaison, is seated in the front row and will maintain a stop clock. Renee Battier, our NLDC advisor, will raise a 15-second warning sign just prior to the conclusion of the time limit. Additionally, a time sign will be raised when time limits have been reached. If a candidate continues to speak after the time limit has been reached, the microphone will be turned off. As a voting member, you have a significant responsibility to our elective process of our professional association. I wish you well in your deliberations. It is now my pleasure to introduce my colleague, Christy Simmons, who will be presenting the questions to the candidates for the office of Treasurer.
Thank you, Christy. Good afternoon. So my name is Christy Simmons, and there are two candidates for the office of Treasurer. Only one is to be elected. Our Treasurer candidates will be asked two questions. The candidates have a maximum of 2 minutes in which to answer the question. Steve Balog will be our first candidate to answer the question. So, question one, during a chapter visit, a new perioperative nurse approaches you and says, "I can't afford AORN dues, and I think going to meetings is boring and a waste of time. Why should I join AORN, and what are the benefits?" What would you say to this colleague?
The first microphone. Can you hear me? Oh, there we go. The first thing I would say to this new perioperative nurse is welcome to the club, because it is a fantastic place to be. And I would chat with them and ask them why do they think that the dues are too expensive. Yes, they've gone up, but we also have a large organization that we are supporting. And also, the meetings are what you make them. If you go with a mindset that they are boring, they're going to be boring. But if you go with an interest or you want to become more and more involved, then it's going to be even better for you. And you're going to get something out of it. But going back to the dues question is, all professional organizations have dues. And that's just part of what we do. If you look at some of the other organizations that are out there, our dues are significantly lower than other organizations are. I won't mention those, but I think you might know who they are. But you have to be able to get your value out of the organization. There's a lot of things that we have that AORN does for us, you know, guidelines, the ANA relationship that we have, the amount of CEs that we can get. There's just a tremendous variety of things that are available to us for those dollars that we spend on dues. So I think it's very important that I would be able to say those kind of things to that individual.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
So, question 2. The economy has recovered reasonably well from the 2008 recession, and so has AORN. What do you think AORN needs to do to remain financially stable?
We need to continue to examine how we do our business. And as we do our business, thinking with a couple of things in mind, how does this affect the membership? What we do with spending money, because we're spending your money and we appreciate that. But also we have to be able to continue to be stable by making solid investments, not only in the people, but also the other things that we do in technology, IT, whatever it might be, products that we might want to endorse. But we have to continue to always examine how does it affect the membership. The membership has to be the bottom line, not the dollars and cents, but it has to be the membership. How does it affect you? And I think that will keep us financially stable as we continue to go through these times. Yeah, we're financially, or the recession is over, if you would, but I think it continues to be a scary time as we go through these next years of what's going to happen. We don't know. You know, the stock market, if you watch the stock market goes up and down almost daily. So we have to be very aware of what's going on in the world and also in the AORN world. Thank you.
Thank you, Steve. Okay, so the next candidate to answer questions for the Office of Treasurer is Jane Flowers. And here she comes. Anybody talk to anybody in the elevator today? Come on, we got to meet people. Okay, Jane, during a chapter visit, a new perioperative nurse approaches you and says, I can't afford the AORN dues, and I think going to meetings is boring and a waste of time. Why should I join AORN, and what are the benefits? What would you say to this colleague?
Oh, there's so many things that you can say to that. I mean, we're all here for the networking, education, the having it as our professional association. There's the guidelines, integrity. You know, all the different products that AORN puts out are really incredible. For me personally, I joined AORN in my early days, and it seems like a lifetime ago. But every year it gets better, and every year that I participate, the more active I am, the more I want to do, and the more committed I want to be. I don't think you can get that in a lot of other places. It is just an incredible networking opportunity. When I've got issues outside of my home community, I call my colleagues across the country. My boss says I'm the best connected person in the world. So, you know, and where I get answers, it's incredible. So I would promote it from that standpoint. It's also professional development, building their portfolio, you know, any number of things.
Okay. The second question, the economy has recovered reasonably well from the 2008 recession, and so has AORN. What do you think AORN needs to do to remain financially stable?
Another excellent question. Last year, we had a banner year for AORN financially. We can't always maintain that, but we've really gone from having just what we used to call Congress as a main source of revenue to expanding to be a more business-to-business association. We've got a great finance team, at AORN headquarters, and they're looking at different options and ways of making money. We follow the stocks, and I think that we're staying on top of it and implementing strategies to keep us financially solvent, we'll stay there.
Thank you, Jane. And here's Christy again.
This concludes the Treasurer's segment of the candidates Q&A. Now is the President-elect's candidate segment. Presenting the questions to the candidate is NLDC member Brandy Miller.
Y'all look good from up here. Good afternoon. It is my pleasure to present the questions to Stephanie Davis, the candidate for the office of President-elect. There is one candidate for the office of President-elect. Our President-elect candidate will be asked 2 questions. The candidate has a maximum of 5 minutes in which to answer each question. Stephanie, question 1. AORN has a vision statement. It is, AORN will be the indispensable resource for evidence-based practice and education that establishes the standards of excellence in the delivery of perioperative nursing care. As president, how would you operationalize this vision?
AORN has been for many years the premier specialty nursing organization. And then one of the reasons we've been so successful is because we have given into the hands of those that are practicing perioperative nurses every day the guidelines that are evidence-based. And by giving them those tools, they have been able to make the right decisions for the care of our patients in the perioperative area. It is very important that we keep patient safety at the top of our list, because really that is what we're all about, is making sure that we can deliver the very, very best care possible. So my vision for AORN is to continue to be sure that we offer to our membership everything they need to do their job to the highest and best standard. Because if we can do that, then we will succeed as an organization and be able to remain the premier perioperative organization in the U.S. and in the world. Thank you.
Question 2. What do you think is one of AORN's biggest challenges that we are facing today? And what are some of your suggestions on how we can solve that issue?
Like any nursing organization, we do have challenges. I mean, we understand that. And your board and headquarters staff work very hard to overcome any barriers or challenges that we have. So as you already heard from some of the treasurer candidates, in the past, we have had some financial struggles. But we have worked very hard over the last several years to really be sure that we are balancing where and how we get our money so that we can continue our mission. And that is really a smart thing to do. I mean, it's a smart thing to do personally in your own business, and it's a smart thing for our association. So if we can really have different sources of revenue, have different things that we're really focusing on, that will help support and make sure that we overcome any of these big challenges. And I will add one more thing. I know membership comes to mind because we worry that we're losing membership or that our chapters are getting smaller, maybe not as successful as they were. You know, I think we're all should be pleasantly surprised at this conference because I've been talking to some folks that are really, really excited about being part of AORN, and they want their chapters to succeed. We had a great meeting this morning. All the leaders of the chapters were there. You should have seen the participation. It was fantastic. We are all ready to do whatever it takes to ensure we overcome whatever barriers there are. And we can do that together by working together, by talking to your board, letting us hear what it is you want us to do, what can we focus on for you, what can we do better, and all together we can all succeed and overcome any barriers in front of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Stephanie.
This now concludes the President-elect segment of the candidates Q&A. Now the Board of Directors candidate segment. Presenting the questions to the candidate is NLDC member Cheryl Langford.
Good afternoon. I am Cheryl Langford, and I will present the questions to the candidates for the Board of Directors. There are 7 candidates for the office of Board of Directors. 4 are to be elected. Each candidate will be asked 2 questions. Candidates will have a minimum or maximum of 2 minutes in which to answer their questions. Vicki Barnett will be our first candidate to answer the question for the office of Board of Directors.
Hi, everyone.
Question 1. What products and/or services do you think AORN should develop or expand on to improve professional perioperative nursing practice?
Thank you. We have products that have evolved over the years, and they continue to improve by using the evidence that many of you have participated in to develop the evidence that we can use in practice. So we need tools, hardware tools. We need science. We need proof and statistics that will say to those who depend on us as the source of information for how to practice at the bedside in perioperative nursing, and they can use that information to substantiate our opinions. So AORN does have a strong voice. So the products are our voice, our science, our services. Of course, we have our guidelines. We'll continue to develop those, implement new ones, perfect those we have already. And then in terms of expanding the perioperative nursing practice, we want to support each of you. You are the membership. Without you, we cannot continue successfully. So you are our future, and we want to hear from you. And as a board member, I'd like to support our very talented team of board and officers so that we can listen carefully and continue. So if you have ideas, I hope you'll share them.
Thank you. Question 2. You just met a new perioperative nurse. What would you tell them about AORN and why they should join the association?
I meet new perioperative nurses who are not members of AORN regularly, and I give them the opportunity to hear about my experience with AORN. I began as a very young and new perioperative nurse. It grounded me. It gave me information I needed. For today's perioperative nurse, it's a little different. we need to make sure that there is information and there is a successful tract that we can let them know they can participate and be part of the solution or part of the progress. So I think we need everyone's help. So I would encourage them, please come with us. It is not only scientifically helpful, it also grounds us and provides a network. And not only that, but AORN has great friends of mine. And so if you're a new perioperative nurse, you do need to have that well-rounded background of not only knowing what to do, but having people who will help you if in fact you need some help. So that's what we do for each other. And so I would focus on the relationships and the support that is needed to be the best perioperative nurse you can be.
Great. Thank you, Vicki.
Thank you.
The next candidate to answer their questions for the Board of Directors is Jay Bowers. Question 1, Jay. What products and/or services do you think AORN should develop or expand on to improve professional perioperative nursing practice?
Not to run the surprise coming out the next week, but one of the products coming out that I think that we should continue to work on is the app for AORN, so that the guidelines are at our fingertips, so that when we have questions about what is the best practice across the country or how we should be doing things, we have it at our fingertips.
Thank you, Jay. Question 2. You just met a new perioperative nurse. What would you tell them about AORN and why they should join the association?
AORN is the premier association for perioperative practice. We need to continue that, and without that, we need to get all members involved, both whether it be on the local level, the state level, or the national level. This is what we're held accountable to in a court of law. You should know what the standards are. You should embrace AORN. You should come and join us. You should know what we're doing nationally and globally within AORN.
Thank you, Jay. The next candidate to answer their questions for the Board of Directors is Vangie Dennis. There we go. Lean into the mic a little more. Welcome, Vangie. Question 1. What products and/or services do you think AORN should develop or expand on to improve professional perioperative nursing practice?
Professional practice, I think one of the biggest steps that we made was being part of the Federal Registry and changing our RPs to guidelines. Focusing on our evidence-based practice is absolutely huge, and that is a type of product. And that product creates an engagement that allows us to parallel to every national organization, even the AMA. So to me, that is absolutely huge. We think of product, we think as operating room nurses, perioperative nurses, we think of products such as the devices that we use. But our products are the membership. Our product is the organization and our missions and our visions and engaging in that with recruitment and retention of all the diverse generations that we have within our organization. To me, that is the product of the Association of Perioperative Nurses.
Question 2. You just met a new perioperative nurse. What would you tell them about AORN and why they should join the association?
If I had to say it in one word, because I'm an educator at heart. You know, I have the title Director of Perioperative Services, and when I first meet, you know, a lot of our new nurses or our new employees, I say, I'm really not a director, I'm an educator at heart, but don't tell anybody. But what I would tell a new nurse, and we are very engaged in not just the Periop 101 course within Emory Health System, but the Vizient course. And I tell them, I said, there is no other specialty, I'm very passionate about it. If I have to say it in one word, it's passion, that gives you so much. You can be anything you want. You can be a pre-assessment nurse as part of the perioperative service. You can be a preoperative nurse. You can be an interoperative nurse. You can be a PACU nurse. It's the perioperative practice. And it's, to me, a very, very special club. So even my daughter, as she trended into being an intensive care nurse, and I go, what are you doing? There is nothing like perioperative nursing. So I think the engagement would be for them to see my own passion within my organization. The fact that I just love what I do, and I love my resident nurses and my student nurses, and I've engaged in 3 different schools of nursing and encourage them. And I have one little secret I'm going to say. Part of the goals, that you have to have goals every year, I told my, my staff, I said, one of your goals is to attend at least 4 AORN meetings a year. Thank you.
Thank you, Vangie. The next candidate to answer their questions for the Board of Directors is Laura Gayton. Question 1, what products and/or services do you think AORN should develop or expand on to improve professional perioperative nursing practice?
Thank you for the question. I think the products that we should continue to expand upon are the AORN guidelines, Syntegrity, to offer our members the most they can get out of their professional practice. I think we need to develop other online opportunities for our membership so that they can see that we are global and we are sustainable. And I think overall that would improve our professional perioperative nursing practice.
Question 2, you just met a new perioperative nurse. What would you tell them about AORN and why they should join the association?
Another great question, thank you. I would definitely draw on my experiences as a new perioperative nurse when I first entered this organization and tell them why AORN was so special to me and why I have now grown into the organization from being a member, being a chapter leader, being on a national task force, and then now being a candidate for the National Board of Directors, and that they too can have that if they have that vision and they have that commitment.
Thank you, Laura. The next candidate to answer their questions for the Board of Directors is Brenda Larkin. Welcome. Question 1, what products and/or services do you think AORN should develop or expand on to improve professional perioperative nursing practice?
Well, I think that it would be crucial to expand on our Syntegrity platform and get that into more of the electronic healthcare records, because then the nurses would have at the bedside all of the evidence-based guidelines to direct their care. And if they have questions or conflicts come up, it's right there at their fingertips. So I think expanding integrity would be crucial. I also think that there should be a curriculum developed by AORN to create a package for universities and colleges to use to teach perioperative nursing practice. Thank you. Yeah, that's the educator in me. I know that I was blessed to have a homemade version of that process when I first onboarded to the OR, and it was really crucial for my professional development.
Question 2. You just met a new perioperative nurse. What would you tell them about AORN and why they should join the association?
Well, AORN is about connectiveness between members and also to the larger organization. I think that it's crucial for new perioperative nurses to be invited to local chapter meetings if there is one. If not, make sure they join e-chapter so they can get connected over the internet. Especially our younger perioperative nurses are very tech savvy. They understand how to work the electronic platforms for interaction, and AORN builds itself upon the grassroots of our chapters. And once the chapters are well established and feeding our new perioperative nurses, then you can go to state chapter meetings, state councils, and then of course to the conference. I feel that when I joined AORN, I was amazed at our journal because that gave me so much. And just the journal alone is worth the cost of joining AORN.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you.
The next candidate to answer their questions for the Board of Directors is David Reinhart. Welcome, David.
Thanks.
Question 1. What products and/or services do you think AORN should develop or expand on to improve professional perioperative nursing practice?
I know that I use my recommended practice standards every week. I have infection control, I have engineering, I have administration. I'll come to my office and they keep taking it off my shelf. She's taking it off my shelf and they go, oh, could you come to this meeting? So I think we really need to just keep solidifying, improving with evidence-based practice, with research, to just continue to build our reputation out there with professional organizations and with multidisciplinary departments that I use every day, every week. So we have a great reputation, and I think we need to build on that.
Question 2. You just met a new perioperative nurse.
Good.
What would you tell them about AORN and why they should join the association?
No, that's an easy one. I'm very passionate about AORN, and anybody out there that knows me, I'm the biggest fan and cheerleader of AORN. During orientation, any perioperative candidate, a periop 101 candidate, I just go on and on about AORN and our expectations. I lead by example. I tell them about Expo. I brag up AORN all the time. I also bring my standards to staff meetings a lot, and I refer them to the standards. So I think involving them up front, all the way through their perioperative experience, through the Periop 101, and then a year after, follow up with, are we attending chapter meetings? And then let's start working on our CNOR. Let's do that. It's very important. So lead by example, and just be a good role model.
Thank you, David. The next candidate to answer their questions for the Board of Directors is Jean Yee. Welcome, Jean. Question 1. What products and/or services do you think AORN should develop or expand on to improve professional perioperative nursing practice?
One of the services I think that AORN should expand upon is mentorship. It is one of the things that I'm very proud of that I worked at my institution and helped develop. Mentorship is not just for succession planning, it's for all of us to grow and develop. And I think that to expand on this formally and for us to help each other grow will make us a much stronger organization.
Question 2. You just met a new perioperative nurse. What would you tell them about AORN and why they should join the association?
I will tell them about the Periop 101 program and how it helps expand and help you grow as an OR nurse. When I was a new OR nurse many moons ago, there was no program. There was no formal way of teaching you the correct way with the guidelines and with someone being there with you. With me, it was like, okay, you're going to do one, now you're doing it on your own. That's one of the strong things, and this is one of the reasons you should join the organization, because joining and growing our numbers will help us grow and help keep us strong, and we will work together to make each other stronger.
Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
That concludes the Board of Directors segment of the candidates Q&A. Now is the Nominating and Leadership Development Committee candidate segment. Presenting the questions to the candidate is NLDC member Connie Garrett.
Thank you, Chrissy. Good afternoon. I'm Connie Garrett, and I will present the questions to the candidates for the Nominating and Leadership Development Committee. There are 6 candidates for the office of NLDC. 2 are to be elected. Each candidate will be asked one question. Candidates will have a maximum of 1 minute in which to answer their question. Elizabeth Austin will be our first candidate to answer the question for the office of NLDC. Liz, when selecting candidates for AORN leadership positions, what are the 3 skills or traits that you look for in a candidate?
It's a great question. When selecting candidates for AORN leadership positions, the 3 skills or traits that I look for in the candidate is accessibility and education and mentorship. So accessibility, are they available? Are they on OR Nurse Link? Are they available when I call them or email them to network with the membership? Accessibility, are they available? Are they, can you get in contact with them? Are they not there?
Thank you. Thank you, Liz.
Just one?
The next candidate to answer their question for the NLDC is Stephen Bourne. When selecting candidates for AORN leadership positions, what are the 3 skills or traits that you look for in the candidates?
Thanks for the question. I believe you're asking me to look at what we as a committee would be looking for to measure in our choices for putting people on the slates. The three leadership traits that I believe are really important, and I've said that the strength of AORN stands on the shoulders of the partnerships of our members between us, and that partnership is about mentoring. So mentoring would be the first thing that I would be looking at, to see that they have shown a commitment over the years to mentor and to foster the growth of other members coming up through the system, because it's only to give these members an opportunity to serve in this way that they become actively involved. Connected, the ability to connect and form partnerships with each other. And I think the communication, the ability to communicate effectively, because the partnerships don't happen unless we're committed to those partnerships and we communicate effectively amongst ourselves. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Stephen. The next candidate to answer their question for the NLDC is Nanette Hamley-Hanauer. Nanette. Your question, Nanette. When selecting candidates for AORN leadership positions, what are the 3 skills or traits that you look for in the candidates?
Skill number 1 that I would look for is passion. I mean, everybody in this room has a passion for AORN, some slightly more than others, but we're working on that. That would be number 1. Number 2 would be somebody that can describe how they work with a team. When you're working on the nominating committee, you have to work as a team. You have to have a consensus. You have to come together to make a decision regarding the ballot. And number 3, I think they have to have mentoring skills, because not only do they need to mentor candidates coming in the process, they also have to mentor new members who are willing and wanting to serve.
Thank you, Nanette. And our next candidate is Karen Knapp. Karen, when selecting candidates for AORN leadership positions, what are the 3 skills or traits that you look for in the candidates?
First, I think I would look at their history. What have they done? What have they been involved in? Have they been involved? Because obviously the more you've been involved with us people here, the more well-rounded you are and the more people that you will know. Secondly, how you present, how you deal with people, I think plays a big part in working up the ladder. Your people skills are very important. And 3, I think, would just be their well-roundedness. Not everybody's a great speaker, but yet they deal very well individually with people. So, you know, everybody has their good points, and I think you just need to find what they are and help develop them.
Okay, thank you. And our next candidate is Shirley Pollard Ramsey. Shirley, when selecting candidates for AORN leadership positions, what are 3 skills or traits that you look for in the candidates?
The three skills that I would look for in a candidate would be passion, education, and relationships. I think that those three leadership qualities are very important. Many of us, many of us have lots of leadership opportunities, but we have to bring that passion to the positions that we're trying to fill and embrace and encourage the leaders that are all at the grassroots level. Thank you.
Thank you. And our next candidate is Nikki Washington. Nikki, when selecting candidates for AORN leadership positions, what are the three skills or traits that you look for in the candidates?
Oh, thank you. That's a great question. One thing that I really would look for is transformational. How open are the leaders to change? Because our worlds are colliding. You think about all these, the procedural areas, and you think about the outliers that encompass our practice. So what I look for in a leader is someone with the capability of thinking outside of the box so we can bring everything together. Although there's various silos, we're still the core of that foundation, and I think if we let it get watered down by these silos, then it waters down our foundation. So I look for transformational, I look for steadfastness, and I look for vulnerability and humbleness. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. This concludes the candidates Q&A. I would like to take this opportunity to thank all their candidates for their willingness to participate in this process this afternoon. Please join me in congratulating them. Each is a tribute to our organization. As chair of the Nominating and Leadership Development Committee, I would like to thank the members of the committee for the time, the talent, and the energy that they devoted to the committee's success this year. The NLDC encourages you to take the time to seek out the candidates this week and speak with them personally regarding the issues facing our organization. This candidate Q&A has been filmed and was also live streamed, and it will be played all week at the candidates display located in the North Lobby. This recording will also be placed on AORN's website within 24 hours. It will be available for viewing up until midnight on Tuesday, April 4th, when voting closes. Voting booths are available in the North Lobby from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday through Tuesday. You may also vote online at www.aorn.org/votingmatters until midnight on Tuesday. Election results will be announced in the second House of Delegates on Wednesday. Again, thank you and good luck to all the candidates. It has been our pleasure to serve you. Have a great conference week.